There is something uncomfortable most people sense but would rarely say. It happens instantly, before a word is spoken, before a resume is read, before intentions are explained. A judgment is made. It is silent, automatic, but deeply humane. You are assessed, not for who you are, but for what you appear to be. And whether we like it or not, that assessment shapes how the world responds to us. If you appear uncertain, you are treated carefully, not seriously. If you appear diminished, you are overlooked. If you appear disorganized, they assume likewise for your intellect. This has nothing to do with morality. It has nothing to do with fairness. It has everything to do with efficiency. 5 centuries ago, Niccolo Machiavelli observed something most people still do not accept today, that people are influenced far more by appearances than by truth, because appearances are easier to process. Most people do not investigate, they infer. They do not examine depth, they react to surface. And because the world operates at scale, surface signals matter more than inner reality. You have felt this. You walk into a room and feel instantly misplaced. You speak, but the attention isn't there. You watch someone with less knowledge, less discipline, less integrity, move effortlessly through doors that remain closed to you. This is not coincidence. It is not fate. It is perception at work. Until you understand how perception functions, it will quietly undermine you, no matter how capable you are. The issue is most people think poverty is about money. That's only one aspect. In social terms, poverty is a signal of lacking. It communicates lack of leverage, lack of options, lack of protection, and human beings are highly sensitive to these signals, not because they are cruel, but because they are cautious. We instinctively avoid what appears unstable, risky, or unresolved. When someone presents themselves as depleted, not necessarily financially, but energetically, physically, or socially, the assumption is that association carries cost. This is why people distance themselves from visible struggle, not out of malice, but out of self-preservation. Machiavelli understood this dynamic clearly. He wrote that people judge more by the eye than by experience, because seeing requires less effort than understanding. Everyone can see your appearance. Few take the time to know your depth, and so the world responds to what it can quickly verify. When you look disordered, people assume your life is disordered. When you look unprepared, people assume your thinking is unprepared. When you look hesitant, people assume your decisions will be hesitant too. These assumptions are often wrong, but they are efficient. And efficiency governs systems. Take for an example the human brain. It is a remarkable machine, but it is also lazy. It looks for shortcuts, patterns, proxies. Instead of asking, is this person competent? It asks, does this person look competent? Instead of asking, is this idea valuable? It asks, does the person presenting it appear credible? This is not conscious bias. It is cognitive economy. When you present yourself as tired, disorganized, or apologetic, you are unknowingly answering these questions negatively before they are even asked. You are not being rejected. You are being efficiently filtered. This is why telling yourself, I don't care what people think, is rarely empowerment. More often, it is resignation disguised as virtue, because while you may not care consciously, the consequences still arrive. Comfort, when chosen at the expense of presentation, becomes a quiet form of surrender. Psychology describes this phenomenon as something called the horn effect. When one negative trait becomes visible, the brain assumes others follow. If your appearance looks neglected, the assumption is that discipline is absent. If your posture collapses, the assumption is that confidence does too. If your grooming is careless, the assumption is that your thinking might be as well. Again, these assumptions are not fair, but they are common, and because they are common, they are powerful. To ignore this is not integrity, it is strategic blindness. Neglecting your appearance does not make you authentic. It makes you unreadable in the wrong way. You are allowing others to write a story about you, one you would never choose for yourself. It is better to observe how opportunity moves. It rarely flows toward visible need. It flows toward visible capability. People do not invest in desperation. They invest in perceived stability. Consider two individuals seeking the same opportunity. One appears tense, hurried, uncertain. The other appears composed, deliberate, unpressured. Even if both have equal skill, the second feels safer. Why? Because humans associate composure with control, and control with competence. This is why confidence often attracts resources even before results exist. Not because people love illusion, but because they are managing a risk. When you look prepared, others feel safer aligning with you. When you look overwhelmed, they sense potential liability. Appearance becomes a form of reassurance or a warning. Machiavelli advised leaders to understand the difference between essence and appearance, not to deceive, but to survive. He recognized that revealing everything at once can be strategically disadvantageous. The mask, he described, was not a lie. It was selective visibility. You do not show hunger when negotiating. You do not display uncertainty when leading. You do not advertise weakness in competitive environments, not because you are dishonest, but because context demands composure. If you wait to look capable until you feel powerful, you may never reach power. Instead, you reverse the sequence. You adopt the posture of capability first and allow behavior to follow. We need to understand that status signaling exists across all species. Humans are no exception. We scan posture, movement, voice tone, eye contact. We subconsciously assess who feels grounded and who feels reactive. Those who appear grounded are treated with more patience. Those who appear reactive are tested more aggressively. This is not conspiracy, it is instinct. Modern society expresses these instincts through professionalism, credibility, and social positioning, not physical conflict. But the underlying mechanics are the same. When you look uncertain, systems apply pressure. When you look composed, systems soften. Appearance creates hesitation or removes it. And hesitation is often the difference between being challenged and being respected. Let me remind you, presenting yourself correctly is like insulation. It slows judgment, it buys time, it creates space. When someone cannot immediately categorize you as vulnerable, they pause. That pause changes the interaction. It gives you leverage. This is why appearance functions as psychological armor, not invincible, but as deterrence. It does not guarantee success, but it prevents immediate dismissal. And in competitive environments, that alone is invaluable. We often ignore an important distinction. Character only sustains relationships. Appearance is what initiates them. Your values matter deeply, but only after access is granted. If no one listens, no one discovers your integrity. This is not injustice, it is sequencing. You do not market a product by hiding it. You do not introduce an idea by mumbling it. Your exterior is the introduction to your interior. Treat it accordingly. Looking capable is rarely about expense. It is about consistency, cleanliness, fit, maintenance. A modest wardrobe that is cared for communicates far more stability than luxury items that appear neglected. Order signals self-governance, and self-governance signals leadership potential. When your environment looks managed, people assume your decisions are too. This is why details matter, not because they are superficial, but because they reveal habits. Let me give you the good points. Something subtle happens when you take control of your presentation. Your thinking sharpens, your posture adjusts, your speech slows. You stop asking for permission. You stop shrinking unconsciously. The exterior discipline creates interior alignment. You're not pretending to be someone else. You're removing contradictions. You're creating confidence. One of the strongest signals of confidence is restraint. You do not explain excessively. You do not narrate your struggles to everyone. You do not fill every pause. Silence suggests choice. People who feel secure do not rush to justify themselves. When you speak less, your words gain weight. When you move deliberately, your presence gains gravity. Scarcity creates value, speech included. It contributes to perception as much as your physical one. Constant broadcasting suggests validation seeking. Excessive outrage suggests instability. Oversharing suggests lack of boundaries. Intentional presence suggests selectivity. Selectivity suggests self-respect. You cannot control every circumstance, but you can control framing, where you arrive from, how you enter, what you reveal. This is not manipulation, it is awareness. Every interaction has a narrative. If you do not shape it, someone else will. For instance, people are judged by their proximity. Who you are seen with affects how you are interpreted. This does not require abandoning anyone. It requires situational awareness. Different arenas demand different alignments. This is not disloyalty. It is strategic clarity. When you remove signals of depletion, the world responds differently, not because it has become kinder, but because you have become easier to trust. Opportunities appear not through luck, but through changed assumptions. The shift is mechanical. Perception alters behavior. Behavior alters outcomes. Eventually, the appearance aligns with reality. The mask becomes unnecessary. Lastly, just remember you are being evaluated constantly, not for your worth, but for your readiness. The question is not whether this is fair. The question is whether you will adapt or remain invisible. Understanding the rules does not corrupt you, it equips you. And those who master perception do not merely survive systems, they navigate them. And if there is one final truth to leave you with, it is this: perception is not the enemy of authenticity, it is the doorway to it. When you take responsibility for how you are seen, you are not becoming artificial. You are becoming intentional. You are choosing to be understood before you are misunderstood. You are choosing access over isolation. And in a world that rarely pauses long enough to look twice, that choice quietly changes everything. So do not ask only who you are becoming, ask how you are being read, because the future you want is not built only by effort. It is built by the moments when effort is finally recognized. Master the signal, and you master the path. If this perspective challenged you, consider subscribing. It took me 12 hours to create this video, but we have just scratched the surface. There are deeper discussions around psychology, influence, and personal authority that can't always be explored publicly in full depth. Those who choose to go further tend to see the world differently. Most won't. That's always been the case.